All right, we are live. What's up, everyone? I'm Parth here with Pierre and Quell for the Philly Blitz Pod. It's Monday. Monday Night Football is on. Jets are up 10-7 on the Bills. Eagles beat the Browns yesterday. Hell of a game. Not in a good way, but we won. All right, and that's what matters. Got one in the W column. How you guys feeling? How you guys feeling after that game? How you guys feeling after the last 24 hours and all the news cycles and all the news stories?
This is our first time recording since the bye week. It was like you said, Parth. It was something. The game yesterday, it was something, and not in a good way. They won, so a win's a win. But we got a lot to talk about.
Oh, buddy, that is putting it lightly. Definitely have a lot to talk about. It can't never be easy with this football team, man. Nothing's ever easy, and I mean it's bigger than just the Nick Sirianni regime. Like just with Eagles football, outside of the 2017 and 2022 seasons where they were Super Bowl seasons. You watch Eagles games and you're like, man, offense and defense can never be on the same page. Can y'all have good games collectively? Like, why one gotta suck and the other one gotta be good all the time?
Well, I mean, I'll say, granted, yesterday, I don't think the offense was bad.
It damn
Like
sure
they
wasn't
were,
good.
They weren't
yeah,
good. And
yeah.
see, we were talking about that a little bit earlier, right, Pierre? It was just like, because Quell, I was saying the exact same thing. Now, we disagree in seeing that, and Pierre and I agree in thinking that, maybe there is a little bit of a trend going back to last year because it's just like, this is what it felt like last year. Where it was like, oh, dude, some signs of growth. Like we can do this. You see Bryce Huff getting on the stat sheet, half a sack, splitting it with our boy. Cool. So it's exciting stuff, right? There's positives happening. But then you just leave the game with this overall negative feeling. And it's just like, shit, like what happened? And it's just it sucks to keep seeing happen. I was asking Pierre this question. When is the last time y'all enjoyed actually watching an Eagles game? Now, of course, there's a meme where it's like, oh, Eagles are on. I'm going to kill myself. Oh, nice, we won. But like, this has felt different, bro. It's just like every game feels like it's pulling teeth, and it's exhausting, bro. It's exhausting. I just want to see them put together a performance where they play to the level of talent they have without depending on the talent they have, right?
I'll say this: it feels like every game, and it's only been 5 games, but every game this year, the result of it has felt like a referendum on Nick Sirianni. Like it's always like it feels like it's like extremely good or extremely bad. Like we talked about before, there's no gray area.
I mean, how I see it, excuse me, this might turn into a bit of a rant, but how I see it, I slept on it. I thought about it because to be quite frank with you guys, I've never been closer to you guys' side of the spectrum than I was yesterday. Watching that
Wait, sorry.
game,
Before you get started, Quell, just saw a statistic that I thought you especially would appreciate. Josh Allen, 56 career rushing touchdowns, now trails only Quell's boy, O.J. Simpson, by one rushing touchdown for second most in team history. So
the
saw an
juice
O.J.
is
stat.
loose. The juice is
The juice
loose.
is loose, bro.
All right, go on.
He really used to knife through the defense.
Carve them
He
up,
was a,
I'm telling you.
he was a killer with the ball in his hands. I mean,
Hey man, y'all are
when they were
crazy.
when they were chasing him, it
Nobody could catch
was
him.
it was must see TV when they were chasing him. Now, which time? That's up for you to decide. But it was must see TV when they were chasing him.
Haven't seen a white Bronco move that fast since Cooper the Gene. But honestly, I haven't been closer to you guys' side of the spectrum than I was yesterday. Yesterday, I mean, as I did all my prep for the game and all of this, how I personally saw this game was what I called it was a benchmark game. And I mean, of course, the Browns are the Browns. They're not really that good. But this is one of those games where, like every NFL team, your division plays the same division as you play. And you look at teams like the Commanders, the Cowboys, both who I guess we can admit they're questionable on defense so far, at least, who were able to, for lack of a better term, dominate this Browns team. And then, of course, you got the Giants, who they also beat them, but it wasn't as clean as the other two. And this game presented an opportunity to see exactly. I mean, of course, teams match up differently. A bunch of different context goes into it, but exactly how you match up with the rest of your division. And to see them come out with a 4-point victory, to see a bunch of the same little simple mistakes like the penalties, it's just little things that kept the Browns in the game. The block punt, which I mean, hell of a play by Myles Garrett. I mean, block field goal, hell of a play by Myles Garrett. But man, what can you say? But in the same breath of saying that, I try. You guys know me. I try to be a glass half full, half empty kind of guy.
This is live TV.
Both you guys?
You guys know. Yeah, I'm about to say.
Can't cut
you
this
guys
one.
know. I've been a glass half full, half empty kind of guy. But what can you say? And realistically, I hate that we have to look at it like this. It's stupid that you're talking about a NFL team in this metric. But if we're being realistic, the team didn't play their starters during the preseason. The teams.
I mean, it's week 5, bro. At what point?
I get you. Hear me out,
There's
though.
3
Hear
weeks
me
of
out.
preseason, right?
Hear me out. Exactly. Maybe if you would have used your starters in one of them, it would have helped.
Yeah.
But they didn't use their starters in the preseason. They had everybody in week 1. Cool. But since week 1, how many games have they actually had their first team offense on the field to actually continue to build what we like to say we're looking for in identity in the offense for Kellen Moore? They haven't had AJ. They haven't had Smitty. The offensive line has been in and out. And I mean, this presented the first opportunity this week where everybody was back. And I mean, I guess what was disappointing to me is they didn't take this chance to continue to grow the offense, to come up with things that exactly would be your identity. They continued, as you guys would say, the chasing the shot plays, which I mean makes sense given how Washington attacked Cleveland's defense last week. But I don't know, man. I have no idea how to really feel about this team, brother.
And that's the same boat.
Good way to put it.
That's the same boat I'm in. Like I genuinely don't know. Like on one hand, like you said, like it's been 5 weeks. There's been injuries, but on the other hand, like how you talk about Parth, like going back to last year, this looks the exact same. There are the exact same issues.
Gut check, vibe check, everything just says that it doesn't feel much different. It doesn't feel like a positive, right? And especially with, I mean, look, last season ended poorly, to say the least, right? Regardless of that, there was hope going into the season, right? I mean, shit, we were right in there talking about. I had my doubts because I've been being a pessimist for the last year because they broke me last year. I'm not gonna lie about that. They broke me as a man. But when it comes down to just like looking around the league at other teams, we brought in Kellen Moore, who, Quell, you got your questions about it. We were texting about him. We were texting about it, but he's looked at as one of the better offensive minds in the league, right? I think that's fair to say. This offense hasn't looked like that. And you're right about, missing talent, right? We all know the stats with missing Lane Johnson. We know the stats about now missing AJ Brown and how that's looked for us and things like that. But that's not an excuse, right? Every team deals with injuries. Some teams figure it out, some teams don't, right? And that's what worries me about this, right? Like, and we've talked about this before, but like the Rams. Now, Quell, you said, they have some other guys that they can depend on more, like Tutu has been there for a couple of years, things like that.
This is a
right?
Jordan Winterson podcast.
Right. Yeah, I know.
Who?
He's hating. But don't say that to the head scout, bro. He'll go off on you. But like they were able to produce, right? They were missing O linemen, they were missing their top 2 receivers, and if anyone is pretty close to the Eagles in terms of having like a pretty dynamic duo of 2 guys who could play as a wide receiver one, the Rams are there, right, with Puka and Cooper Kupp, and they've been able to figure it out. And it's just the fact that we continue to just depend on our talent. It's not a sustainable way to win. You have to, like, can you imagine if we had this talent and Ben Johnson scheming it up, right? Like you it's so hard to watch that Lions and Cowboys game yesterday.
Oh my gosh, I was sick to my stomach,
bro. Like you can't.
It felt like that team was on another planet offensively.
Dude, I mean, they had 3 plays to offensive line, bro.
That was just Dan Campbell trying to run up the score.
But like they were having fun. You could see that they were having fun playing football, and that's what.
And I mean, Grant, I think even yesterday we kind of saw some of that from the Eagles, like with AJ and Jalen.
There were flashes. Yeah. There were flashes, but again, can't keep depending on AJ Brown 50-50 ball. Like we've been talking about this for so long, and I get it. AJ Brown 75-25 ball, 90-10 ball. That's how he approaches it, and he is maybe. I think he's the best receiver in the league. Exactly, right? Like, I don't want anybody to get mad at you. I think he's the best receiver in the league, but you still can't just be like, oh, screw it, throw it to AJ, right? Like, there has to be some method behind it.
Some nuance, some creativity.
The brand of football that they play is not sustainable at all. Like, you can't just depend on 50-50 balls to AJ and apparently now mesh concepts for an entire NFL season. Like, it's not going to work.
Exactly. And what we were talking about on Twitter, Pierre, your tweet that just did not let me sleep because it was so horrible. But like, I kept thinking about it, dude, because I saw your tweet and at first I was like, no, I agree. Like, I get it. Like, that's what AJ has done, but that's not all AJ can do. And that's what's frustrating to me. If you're just running AJ Brown on slants and goes, you're wasting him. Like AJ Brown on crossers while he was at Tennessee was impossible to stop. Even when he was on the Eagles early on, I went back. It took forever to find the route maps. First off, like I guess you could call it a route chart, not a route map. For those of you who are trying to,
you should have called me.
I should have. So I spent forever looking for it, but I found him, and I went back to 2022. I mean, it's night and day. It's night and day. And now this also brings up the question of how much of this is Jalen, which I know is something that we have tried to – we're all Jalen fans on this pod. I don't think anyone's going to lie about that. And so we've tried to stay away from that and been like, maybe there's other stuff because we believe in Jalen. But where there's smoke, there's fire. And if we're willing to blame Sirianni, then Jalen deserves some of this blame too, because both of those guys are the common denominator in this offense, right? Your quarterback and your head coach, they're still there, same 2 guys, multiple different OCs, but we've seen something different the last 2 years. We've seen something different in Jalen going up and checking at the line to these 50-50 plays over and over again. Jalen, 3rd and 1, and you're going on, 4 fade balls. Like that's what you check to on 3rd and 1. Like
That entire call itself was insane to me. Like, why not just tush push, call a timeout, and then if you want to take a shot, take the shot. But it just didn't make no sense.
The result is like with most football. The result is what drives us crazy. I agree. Live to fight another day. It's 3rd and 1. Blah blah blah. I guess in their head, you take the shot on 3rd and 1 because you're going for it on 4th and 1. Like nobody expected him to get sacked and lose all them yards and things of the nature. Like they didn't expect it to play out like that. So they looked at it as like most teams look at 2nd and short. This our shot play chance.
Yeah, that's very true because they do look at it like 4 downs. Yeah,
exactly. And specifically given to the fact that we talked about it. I don't believe it was on pod, but hell, all of us know we're all Eagles fans. I'm sure all 18 of you guys have watched enough Eagles games to see. Well, when Jim Schwartz was here, we left our cornerbacks on islands a whole lot. Unless he was running sticks defenses, them cornerbacks was on islands. And not really much changes about him except the fact that he's willing to send a little bit more pressure now. I think Eagles fans would love Jim Schwartz nowadays, but he's willing to heat it up a little more. I gotta find the number or the statistic about it. I think he heated Jalen Hurts up on. I could be wrong. I think it was like 15,
12 or 15.
Yeah. So I have it here.
50% on completions in that.
He was blitzed He was blitzed 13 times.
13.
53.8 completion percentage, 117 yards, a touchdown, and 1 sack.
So outside of that, well, even with including that, like he already liked to leave his corners on islands. Now, given the fact that he's going to send the pressure, like the man-to-man opportunities, and we know how this offense specifically, I've been looking for the opportunity to post this video on Twitter, but I finally found it on a podcast. But I'm sorry I'm using my hands so much. I'm just excited. We're talking about receivers in my Nick Sirianni voice, but just having them guys one-on-one. You take that opportunity every time and twice on Sunday too. So it's not necessarily the play call that we're upset with. It's just the result, which has been the case all season long, even dating back to the Saquon play against Atlanta. It's not the play call, it's the result. If you would have did something different and just played it safe, we wouldn't be here. But you didn't, and now we got to live with the conversation. So
I disagree with that slightly because at the end of the day, even with the Saquon play, right, against the Falcons, everyone talks about that as like, oh, we're one play away from winning, right? You're never one play away from winning. There's always a couple plays that could have gone another way that help you get there, right? And it's not just, Slay getting beat by Drake London or Saquon dropping that ball. There were other opportunities, right? And there was time mismanagement, those types of things. And so these things build up, right? And with Jalen, right? And we're talking about, I think you're right? If you're playing with 4 downs, it's not crazy to make an audible or something if it's man covered. Before go balls, all goes on 3rd and 1 doesn't make much sense to me.
Bro, he checked. He checked to a shot play. What was it? 2nd and 11, 3rd and 11.
He only game on. Bro, he checks to mesh or shot plays. That's all he does. That's what he checks to, and it's just like.
To be fair, I don't want to be that guy because I like to think that Jalen Hurts is a very smart. He's the son of a coach. He has definitely progressed at the quarterback position from the time that he's began his journey, not just in high school, Alabama, all that.
Mm-hmm.
With that being said, when we seen Jalen Hurts at his best outside of the 2022 season, and I guess you could even say the 2022 season, when we seen Jalen Hurts at his best was when he was either throwing the ball down the field or getting the ball to his guys and letting them operate in the Lincoln Riley offense, and then in 2022. That's his thing. So in those two plays specifically,
you see crossers and stuff in all those offenses, right? In 2022 in Lincoln Riley's offense, you see it's not just mesh, give it to the shallow guy, and that's the only way that you get the ball in your playmaker's hands or a
right.
screen, right? There's other stuff to it, and I think you're right, Quell. Jalen throws one of the prettiest deep balls in the league, right? That's a known thing about him, but you can't just use it every play, right? This is where tendencies come in. I feel like most players now probably think, oh, Jalen's checking at the line, we're in man, watch the go ball, right? Like
no funny. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. But that thought process right there is why you end up with where you end up with in Seattle last year in the game where they freelanced at the line of scrimmage, Jalen and AJ, and Julian Love spoke about it after the game. Like we knew once we got him to check into that play what he was going to think, and we baited him into that because he's shown it. I believe I don't know if it was an episode of P's and Q's or if it was early on in our Philly Bliss pod days, but I spoke on how, it was the right decision. I think it was a game against Dallas, actually. He did the same thing. And it was like he ended up throwing an interception because he saw cover 1. And I get it. You look the safety off. You got one-on-one. Give your guy a shot. Boom. But I think he was so caught up, and he continues in this aspect. He's so caught up in being a coach's child. If I see this coverage, this how you supposed to attack it. This what you supposed to do. Instead of operating in the parameters of the offense where it's like, hey, yeah, they showing this, but we've been setting this up to get this look for this circumstance type thing. It's like he's programmed, like, I got the look I want, I'm going to get it, I'm going to do it. And sometimes it works to his advantage, and sometimes it's like, oh, like that, Jalen, I get it, but you can't do that right now.
Exactly. I think it like we talked about before we started recording, Parth. I think it also goes to a larger conversation about him as a processor. His processing is it isn't where you want it to be in terms of the speed. Now, granted, like you said, Quell, he's gotten better with it, but just him going from one read to the next versus him, seeing cover 2 or cover 1 and just chucking the deep ball to AJ. Like, it's the next evolution of his game. And granted, we thought it would, improve with Kellen Moore here, but so far, kind
And
of.
to an extent, it has. But I mean, that kind of goes into the whole,
Right,
like I
his play
said a
against the
couple weeks
blitz,
ago,
things like that.
Yeah.
like I said a couple weeks ago, and like you guys continue to harp on now. You guys may feel strongly about it than I do. I don't think this is purely Kellen Moore's offense. I do think Kellen Moore has had his hand in the cookie jar. Like, it's more than what people give him credit for. But
It feels like
I do think he is a Sirianni offense dressed up with some Kellen Moore stuff. And I mean, if that's going to be the case, that's how or why you find yourself in these predicaments like that offensively.
That's what we've been saying in our group chats. That's the issue. That's why we've been upset, is because if you're Sirianni, you're here, you agree to hire, these coordinators. This is outside your purview, your normal guys. Listen to them. Let them bring in their offense, right? It can't just be we're going to do it my way.
But I don't think
he let Steichen do it in 2022. So
that's I went back and hold up. One sec, because I looked up some quotes about this because I was curious.
Boom.
He, in 2021, right, when he gave up Steichen's thing, he talked about how, I'm going to focus on other stuff. It's the overall phases of the game and those types of things, but I'm going to be in offensive planning meetings. He also said that he was going to let Shane call his offense, right? He's going to let Shane do his thing. What he did in 2021 and in 2022 is not what he's done in the last 2 years, because how he's talked about it. One sec, because how he's talked about it has been different too. He's more willing to say, oh, well, I do call certain things. He's talked about getting involved more and more. And when it was Shane, he didn't. And Shane was his guy, right? So there's an element of trust there. And I understand that, right? But you're an NFL coach, right? You have to be able to trust the people around you and let them do their thing. That's why we saw Brian Johnson last year. He didn't get to run his offense. He didn't get to run the things that he wanted to run because it was, Nick Sirianni wants this. And that's what's frustrating, because we're seeing it happen again, except last year you could write it off to Brian Johnson, first-time coordinator, it's new coach, 2 first-time coordinators, those other things. Kellen Moore is an established coordinator. He has things in his offense, and they have not shown up here, right? And again, go ahead.
That's the thing. Like, we know what a Kellen Moore offense looks like. This is not that. This is exactly how it looked pre-Shane Steichen in 2021 and majority of last year.
And again, I still question.
I wouldn't say it looks exactly, because, like I said,
there are Kellen Moore's imprints are there. With the motion,
overall same, right?
I guess this is the frustrating part for me, where you're right, Parth. 100% of those quotes were right. And I mean, every time I hear quotes of those sentiments, or just we have this conversation as a whole, the first thing that I come back to is when Nick initially gave up play calling in 2021, he spoke about, and even before that, when he went into the hiring of Shane Steichen, he spoke about how he and Shane have worked closely together. He feels as if they see the game the exact same way. He feels like if he was to close his eyes and hand Shane Steichen, he didn't say this word by word, but this is kind of a play-by-play of what he was saying. If he had to close his eyes and hand Shane Steichen the play sheet, Shane Steichen was going to pick the same play that he was thinking. They were in complete lockstep. So, of course, he was comfortable letting Shane run the offense, because he felt as if that was him running the offense, but with more experience, because Shane has been there before. Shane has done that. I think Shane was the offensive coordinator in
LA.
Yeah, LA or San Diego, whatever they were at the time, when all that was going on, where it's like, I can understand that. Now, at the same time, and I mean, we joke and laugh about this, about the whole conversation about nepotism in the NFL and things of that nature. Oh, funny, this is kind of where it comes from, because you end up in situations like this where, I mean, yeah, there are select few. You have the Dan Campbells who take a chance on a Ben Johnson, who, I mean, I don't want to say they haven't crossed paths, but I don't think they had any relation prior to them being there in Detroit. where you see an up and coming coach who was special and you let him do his thing. For the most part, a lot of these coaches, when they hire these coordinators, they find guys that they either work with before, work under people that they was close with, or basically are in close twine to what they want to do offensively. And a lot of that comes down to conversations like this. I think back to that quote you sent earlier today, Parth, when basically he got asked flat out, are you really calling plays or are you falling on the sword for your people? And he basically deflected the question as good as possible, but basically saying, I think all of this goes on across the league. I mean, coaches give limitations. Coaches say, hey, you can do this or you can't do this type of thing. But for lack of a better term, I ain't calling the plays. I'm just telling them, I'm giving them a menu, how I put it. And of course, it makes sense that you do that when you got coaches that you're, for lack of a better term, unfamiliar with. I mean, it's one thing, and that's what made me raise my antennas about it. Like I keep saying, I don't think he would do that to Vic. Because he's
brother.
Vic isn't
brother. He told Vic, brother. No, he told Vic, that don't work for me, brother.
Nah, yeah, whatever. Vic would have been like,
Vic just changed channels on the
who you
the
talking
mic.
to, Pipsqueak?
Adjusted. Pipsqueak is crazy.
Nick got on the headset. That don't work for me, brother.
He said, what'd you say to me, Baldy?
Like, no correct, no funny. And even outside of that, like just how he spoke about the respect that he had for for Vic, that he built over the time that he was there. I don't think he's had that time with Kellen. And I do think he thinks Kellen is really smart. I just don't think he's willing, kind of like I said with Brian. You could, if you got a car that you still playing a car note on, you could think somebody's a nice driver and all. That don't mean you're going to get him the keys to your car all freely. And
but
this is supposed to be his car.
Yeah, but it's not. It's half his car, right? Because
I mean, you speaking of optics at this point. If he's the head coach, he's supposed to be his car.
Agreed. But see, then that's why the blame comes on him. But if we're talking about Dan Campbell, right? For example, Ben Johnson has been there. That's obviously helped in them staying consistent as a competitor, right? You don't have to keep changing your offense. You still have the same play caller. Dan Campbell lets him call his offense. Dan Campbell lets him cook. Right? Dan Campbell is a CEO coach. He's an actual CEO coach, right? He's not trying to get involved in everything. And I think that's why Nick is getting the blowback he is. They got hired at the same time. They had very similar intro press conferences, right? It was the flowers and the kneecaps, right? They're both emotional guys. Dan is able to, what's the word I'm looking for?
Channel.
Thank you. Channel his energy and how he does things. See, like Quell. Him, like Nick, talking shit to Denzel Ward, Greg Newsome, laughing and on the sidelines with them. No problem with that. That's who Nick was in 2022. I get that, okay, and the players like it, fine. And now the whole thing with the yelling at the fan thing. The fan has come out. I don't know if you saw that quote. Pierre and I were talking about that earlier.
I said it to you guys.
Oh, you did? Okay, sorry. Okay, guys, I saw it earlier on the timeline myself. Actually, I saw it on Facebook. I saw it in the wild, which is crazy.
In the wild, it's crazy.
But even then, right? It comes down to optics, and I think we talked about this a little bit earlier. I can't remember if it was just me and Pierre talking about it, but Jeffrey Lurie cares about optics. He doesn't necessarily care about the optics of fans or what the media might be saying or local media. But national media, the league overall, what other people are saying, he cares a lot about that. He's had a talk with Sirianni about his sideline etiquette because he was afraid of refs getting angry.
He talked about it. He talked about it at the owners' meeting. I have the quote
sorry,
right here.
I don't mean to disrupt.
I'm trying to look over the game. I'm like, what happened?
Man, the hell with that game. I'm celebrating because we just got our first Juan Soto home run in the postseason.
Can you remove him?
He's gonna be a Philly in the offseason anyway. So
not playing like this, brother.
It don't matter. But I have I have the Lurie quote here when he was asked about Sirianni's sideline demeanor. And I quote. He said, I think, first of all, one of the aspects that makes Nick really good is that he's authentic. He doesn't hold back, but that can also be a negative at times. On the sideline, you don't want to infuriate the referees. I always worry about that. I want the referees to give us a fair shake, so I don't want him to overreact. But I love his passion. Jeff Lurie.
At the NFL owners meeting.
Yeah, but I love his passion. So I think he recognizes that it can be a little bit counterproductive if he overdoes his own passion. But you don't want but you don't want to stop where that passion is coming from. So you got to find a sweet spot. I think he wants to find a sweet spot of what that's like. I love his passion though. So I think it's kind of him finding a happy medium between the two.
And he just went
Like,
to two extremes. He was
yeah,
completely
like
morose, and then he was
yesterday,
insane. It was just
yeah, like
bro,
he was
his press conference
legitimately
was nuts.
he was
Yesterday
all
wasn't
over the
that
place.
bad
He was
with the context of what we have about the fan mode. Yesterday wasn't that bad. Like
No,
everybody was ready to rip through him.
Quell. His press conference was a mess.
was bad. It was a mess.
Mess. He rambled. He talked about random stuff. He didn't take a. They talked about the first quarter points. He's like, it's not that big a deal. You guys make a big deal about it.
That's
Yeah,
the thing,
I know.
bro. That's the
That's
thing. That's the thing that pissed me off the most, bro. Like, what do you mean it's not a big deal? You haven't scored in the first quarter of a game since week 13 of last season.
And
you had 2 weeks. You had 2 weeks to get it corrected against one of the worst teams in
That's
football.
all they talked about.
And you failed again.
We're gonna focus on the slow starts over the bye week. We're gonna do these types of things. This was in ZB's article about Zach Berman's article about this game. Another first quarter without points. The Eagles are one of only 6 teams since 2001 to go 6 weeks without scoring in the first quarter. 5 games in the Eagles' case. The last team to do so was the 2021 Jets. They finished 4-13. Now, no one's saying the Eagles are going to finish 4-13, but if that's the company you're in,
it's so hilarious. I get what you're saying. It's only so hilarious because I seen a tweet earlier. It was like the Cowboys have given up 100 and something points in the last 3 home games. The last team to do this was some team. I think it was like the Oilers. No, it was like the Oilers of some year. They talking about some
Oilers
team.
Is crazy.
They went like 1-14 or something. And I'm like, I mean, I don't think the Cowboys gonna only win 1 game, but this is terrible company to be in.
Exactly. And that's just what it comes down to. It's just like if we're and did the 2021 Jets have AJ Brown and Devontae Smith and Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts and Dallas Goedert?
We don't even have Dallas Goedert.
Brother, we got Grant Calcaterra. His first reception for 40 yards, boy.
Nah, y'all stay on that side. We've been screaming Grant Calcaterra for 3 years now. Jack Stahl, get your ass away. Sorry, excuse my language,
also, if we're talking about offensive scheming and just understanding your personnel, why is Grant Calcaterra the inline tight end and Jack Stoll's in the slot?
Jack Stahl played.
Brother. Doesn't make sense. One of them's a blocker, one of them's not.
Even back to the Sirianni conversation, and I know we kind of looked at this as a joke, but even the whole haircut thing, like that combined with the whole emotional outburst yesterday, and even if you watch the post-game locker room video that the Eagles put out, and Nick keeps talking to the team, and I get it, emotions, and you want to show yourself to the team and everything like that, but I found myself asking the question, like, is this dude okay? Like, mentally, spiritually, brother, are you all there?
Every single pod I've listened to has asked that question because just the way he talked in that press conference, the way he looked, and even the outbursts on the sidelines, like I said, like, it's fine. There's a little bit more context to it, and but you still look crazy, bro.
Yeah, and the thing that's kind of not frustrating, but like questionable to me is, what, two weeks ago, Jalen Carter was on the sideline, kind of having an outburst. Dom and Sirianni were trying to calm him down, and then yesterday, Nick's on the sideline. Like, as the head coach,
it's just not setting a great example.
Nice. I'm sorry. I don't mean to keep swaying away in different directions, you guys. You guys seen the news?
Oh, no. Oh, my Lotta, how long is he out?
Oh, wait.
It's bigger than that.
Okay,
I would be making that face too, Pierre.
Apparently,
something just happened to Paul George.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
Please,
some kind of knee injury. They say.
Jesus Christ!
Oh
this
my
is
God!
nasty.
I'm gonna kill
myself. We cannot have anything.
I have nothing. We
don't have anything.
Shut the fuck up. You got Ohio State, okay? You guys have lost 1 fucking game.
I
am broken every weekend. Football just takes me, and it's just like take it. I just Am I about to be a hockey fan?
Hey, boy, that would be a nasty meme right there.
I don't know how much more I could take, bro.
Hopefully,
Paul.
looking at the video, hopefully it's just a bad hyperextension, but his knee definitely buckled.
Oh, fuck me.
Oh, man.
Sorry. Oh, my God.
Oh, we have terrible luck, actually.
But he was
I'm about to cut
walking.
this Yankee game on. That's
He walked to the bench gingerly, but he walked. Yeah.
Oof, that did not look like it felt good.
Let's just pray for the best, man.
Yep.
Where were we at? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to disrupt the mood.
Can we just end the pod?
Bro said, "I can't keep dealing with this.
Can't do this, bro. How much more can one man take? You know, like
Bro, every time
God, stop giving me your hardest battles.
Bro said, "Why are you still alive?"
every time I see like a Sixers highlight from like 2017, 2018, I think to myself, like, we've been through so much as fans. Like, so much. And it's just like the hits keep coming.
It won't stop, bro. It just will not.
Are we cursed?
Stop.
Are we cursed?
I keep wondering about 2017 because everybody keeps sending out that tweet. Like, if the Eagles didn't win in 2017, Philadelphia would be in an all-time losing streak in like big games and stuff. So I don't know. I don't really like sports that much. I think they're kind of stupid, and you should focus on real things in life, like your job. You know, just
there are no real things in life. All this is make believe. We're gonna all die one day.
I keep questioning why I care about this so much. They don't care about me.
You know, that's an interesting conversation, man. Because I was really thinking about this earlier this week. Like, man, it's so amazing how this football team can, for some people, even that basketball team, can carry your mental health from a day-to-day basis based on how the good or bad they do. And it's like, sports is supposed to be for happiness and joy, and there is no joy in sports. It's just pain, suffering.
Not in Philadelphia.
Yeah, or you know what? It's everywhere, brother. Because, well, not everywhere. It's just, maybe it's genetic. My dad was a Dolphins fan growing up. His favorite quarterback ever, Dan Marino.
Never won a thing.
He told me, and I think about it constantly after 2022. He's just like, we made it to Super Bowl, and we're like, oh, we'll be back. Like, we made it here. We have this young quarterback. He's so good, they never went back.
And y'all see, you know what? Y'all see why I was so big on that stat. And y'all talked about, well, we'll be okay. And we got the roster, and we got the team. And
listen.
It's even going on in San Francisco right now. Can't keep a damn souls healthy because sold your soul.
Thank Christ. If San Francisco was good this year, and the Eagles played like this, I'd be done. I'm telling you right now, I'd be done with football. I'd be done. I hate that team more than the Cowboys. I hate them. I hate every player on that team. I'm waiting on that Santa Clara earthquake.
Oh my gosh. What is wrong with you?
What? A small one where they're all like on the field practicing, and then it's like all at once, every ACL tears, they're out of the league. Is anybody really mad? Then Debo can tweet about it.
Dave Chappelle.
Debo can hop on his podcast.
I'm not saying it should happen, but if it did, you know, that is crazy. Oh yeah,
that's not even the craziest thing I've said on this pod. So
I don't even think it's close. But
oh man, we need something to laugh about, bro. Sports.
We were talking about Sirianni. Jeez, bro, I cannot continue, bro. I hope Paul George is okay.
I can't. I keep looking at Twitter, bro. I'm literally just doom scrolling Twitter right now. This is exhausting, bro. Well, at least the Flyers got Mitchkov. You know,
Who?
he's supposed to be, bro. They were
No,
like,
no, no. I
he's
know,
that.
no. I know who he is. I'm just saying, like you said, the Flyers. I said who? Like I
Shit,
don't.
I haven't watched the game yet, but I was listening to a pod about it, and they were
Little
like,
homies is for
he
big
apparently
homies. There are no little homies here.
listen. All I know is he shot and almost made a goal between his legs, like between his own legs, like behind the back in between the legs. So
Okay,
least-
this
at
is
least there's
the
something.
Sixers. Sixers say Paul George's injury is a left knee hyperextension, so it probably was just a really bad hyperextension.
Did they say anything about an MRI?
I don't see that right now.
It's preseason. They probably just took his ass out. We're all just broken because
When's the regular season start?
2 weeks.
February.
Shut up, Quell.
Yeah, I don't think we see him for the rest of the preseason.
No. Embiid's not playing the preseason either, so no, they won't.
They shouldn't have played him this game. Last game should have been enough.
Didn't they play yesterday?
Yeah, but none of the starters played.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
They played in
we
Boston.
did last game. Yeah, I seen they were getting their
Was that
feet
yesterday or the day
something, and I
before?
was like, "What?" It was
Pretty
one
sure
of
that was
the two.
I can't remember anymore.
They were getting
All
their
right, let's
face
get back to the
something, and I
Eagles.
was like, "What's going on?"
So we've
Yeah.
talked about Nick.
Team that
We
can't
talked-
win.
Do you guys see any solutions? Like, how do you see the season playing out? Because from where I'm standing, and I know I've been a little very pessimistic, but
Yeah.
barring, like, we already had our bye, which is last time.
Why
Nick,
do y'all keep saying this?
what?
Y'all keep saying this. Y'all are driving me mad. I broke this down in a podcast before the season started. The Eagles have multiple bye weeks. We have our
Okay.
regular bye week, and then we
Well,
play
let me
Washington
finish
in
my
week
thought.
10.
Let me finish my thought. Okay, 2021 in the real bye week, not the fake bye weeks. Okay, your
Oh, man,
Mickey Mouse
look.
bye week. But no,
Games
but
are helpful.
point being, during that actual bye week where they actually did not play a game at all, that's when Nick stepped back, right? And he was like, "Okay, Shane, you go off. You call this offense. It's your thing now." The fact that he didn't, that type of thing didn't happen, that we didn't see this team come out and just look fundamentally different, it's a little frightening. And it's just the fact that they keep playing down to their opponent's level. It's not. It doesn't feel like it bodes well. But what do you guys? How are you guys feeling right now? What's a little pulse check on the season?
Like I just said a couple minutes ago, I genuinely do not know. Like that's my entire vibe on this team. I really don't know how to feel. Like It's clear, at least on offense, it's clear the talent is there. But since week 13 of last season, and I know, like you like to talk about, Quell, it's a new season, new coordinators, everything like that. That is true. At the same time, it's been, and granted, it's only been 5 weeks, but it just looks the exact same on offense. And I don't know if there's any reason to believe they're going to change anything. Like we saw yesterday, AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, how much of a difference they make and how much they change things. It gives them, in a sense, their identity, which that could be a good thing or a bad thing. You have the 50-50 balls, you have the underneath stuff to Devontae, and that seemingly is what they do offensively. And I don't know if there's any reason to believe all of a sudden they're going to become this amazing scheming up everything open type of offense. And the way they play football, I don't know if that's sustainable over how many more games are left? 12, 13? If they make the playoffs, I don't know if that's sustainable for success.
Damn. 13, if they make the playoffs, we're going to lose in the first round, Pierre?
I was just saying a number, 13, 14, whatever it is. But yeah, I just don't know on the offense. Defensively, I think we have reason for optimism. Cooper DeJean, he looked amazing yesterday. Quell Mitchell, he continues to develop on a week-to-week basis. Bryce Huff, he did some good things yesterday, finally. Granted, Nakobe Dean, I don't know if he had his best game. It was kind of maddening seeing
Probably had
him.
his worst game.
Seeing him in space and coming downhill as a tackler. I don't know what he was doing multiple times. But yeah, I think defensively there's reason for optimism. But offensively, I don't know. I don't know. And again, it's clear the talent is there. It's just from a coaching schematic perspective, it's I don't know.
It's funny. Honestly, I feel completely opposite as you, Pierre. That's the funny part. Offensively, I feel like there there could be a glimmer of hope. And I mean, explain my reasoning
Yeah,
for your own.
the hope is the talent. That's the
No,
hope.
no, no, no. I
That's the
think
team's hope. I'll tell you that
I,
much.
I mean, at least I think I wouldn't be the first nor the last time I've been wrong, but I think kind of like the same thing that I've been saying this and I've stayed true to it. I didn't think I was going to get myself to stay true to it, but I've laid out this benchmark area of week 9 for the team on both sides of the ball as to when things should click for everybody. By week 9, you're talking about an Eagles defense who, I mean, yeah, you know who you are. You should have your pieces in the positions where you want them to be. I mean, we seen exactly how that was my big thing with him and Cooper yesterday. We seen exactly how he wanted to utilize the nickel
Bro,
position.
he had him
Cooper was
all over the
basically
field.
a
Third
linebacker on the
safety.
field.
It was so
So
beautiful to watch.
just things of that nature. I
Can
feel
we
like
wait before you continue? Can we talk about Cooper, please? Please, can we talk about Cooper? He was all over the field. I have his stats right here, bro. He didn't allow a single first down, 52 total snaps, 6 tackles, 2 quarterback pressures, quarterback hit, half a sack.
Just
Bro,
say
it was
the
beautiful to
A word.
watch, man.
Just say the A word. I know you want to.
What?
Say the A word. I know you want to. AU.
all right.
The aura. Yeah.
No, Cooper played completely well, man. It was kind of it was worth the wait, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
It was kind of everything we expected to see, and he didn't disappoint. He definitely didn't disappoint.
Him and
Now,
Q switching
I
jerseys
guess
was sick too. That was awesome.
that was cold. That was cold. My big thing is kind of like I was just about to get into where not continuity is the thing with this football team, and that's what at least I'm banking on for the remainder of the season. It hasn't started pretty. It has this. I'm concerned, definitely, for lack of a better term. But I've also seen the same way we've talked about these flashes from last season and so much to be concerned about. I feel as if I've also seen the exact same amount of flashes on the opposite spectrum for me to sit there and say, like I said, Pierre, like you said, I don't know. I have no idea. But I've also seen the opposite side where, I mean, I've seen what the Philadelphia Eagles offense looks like when it quote unquote gets going. I've seen what it looks like when, I mean, they let the running game take over and they do things off the running game to capitalize off that. I've seen what when Vic Fangio has these pieces in place and he doesn't have to play Avonte Maddox, thank God, it what things can look like. And even when Slay went out the game, like Keely Ringo did a magnificent job.
Smack the
Bro,
shit
he
out of
popped.
Pierre
Who did he
Strong.
pop? Was that
Pierre
who did
Strong.
he popped him? First
Pierre,
I would
class
do that.
CT.
I would do that to a Pierre too. Like it's just something about that. That makes you want to smack someone.
Handed out. First class CTE.
it's just like I just feel like it's so much untapped potential on both sides of the ball. Whether you want to talk about how long they played together, the limited of snaps, or on the defensive end, the abundance of snaps that they continue to play. As I personally feel like they get better with each game, and I mean they have their flaws. They still cannot, damn it, stop the run, but they you can see what Vic wants to do, and this is watching this bend but don't break defense. I understand, Parth. I feel you. It's not for the weak. It's not something like you'll sit there for 70% of the game. Like, why won't you guys make a tackle and get a stop? But then they get in the red zone or something. And it's like, okay, 3 points. I can live with that. I can just.
The only thing that scares me about that is if your offense isn't going and scoring, those 3 points can add up quick. And
Exactly. Again, this is
That's
just
what
me
happened
banking
against
on
Tampa
them
Bay.
getting better.
Exactly.
Just
And it's
keep
just like,
banking on them getting better.
no, I mean, I get you, but it's just like so many of these issues are also just not even defensive scheming. And that's where it's just like, I
Like
think Vic has been fine. Bro, missed tackles. Like
bro, yeah, that's what I'm about to say.
effort, those
The
types of
tackling,
things.
that's an effort thing.
That's not scheme. Like you have to just be able to tackle as a defense, and they're still just throwing shoulders.
I
It's
want to
just
say
like,
Or even
tackling got
like
better when Slay got out the game.
they'll be in one-on-one situations and they'll just be shuffling their feet. Like I can't like
Hey, bro.
Chauncey,
Hey,
he
Parth.
does it.
CJ,
Nicole,
Hey, Parth.
he does it.
What was that about?
brother?
Bro, he was sitting there like his controller cut off, waiting for him to run to him.
Brother, like move up to him. I see that you're shuffling your feet, but you're supposed to eat up the ground while that's
But
happening.
you know who's coming back in a couple weeks? Who's that's not going to be an issue for?
The issue with him is
Sidney Brown.
But the issue with him is going to be he's going to just come in like a missile and just miss
Yeah, that's what we need.
Everything complete.
Crash out football.
You can see somebody fly across the screen. Like,
was that against the Cardinals last year where he just like there was like a screen he was going to blow him up and then just completely missed and it was like a touchdown.
all you can do is the thumb. What's that guy doing over there?
My type of football player. That's my type of football player.
You either watch football with him and you either say, damn, or what was that?
I just with defense, I think probably I can see signs of growth and I can see like things are going to happen. With the offense, I've just been looking for it, and it's just like one drive a game is not enough for me. Like I feel like we've had maybe four.
I think we get more than one drive a game.
I think we get maybe 2 or 3, and they can't score. So at what point is it?
Because it's a play by play. Every time we do something good, by the time we get to the 5th play, they get some damn illegal motion, false start, something stupid that kills the drive.
That's coaching. Wow, that's coaching, and that's supposed to be the thing that Nick is supposed to be doing. It's penalty-free football. It's winning the turnover battle. It's all these things that and not making stupid mistakes, and they're not good at that. It's special teams, being good in all phases of the ball. 4 weeks in a row, we've had special teams errors. Or 4, I don't know if it's in a row, but 4 out of the 5 weeks, we've had special teams errors. Like, this team is not working in any phase of the game. And it's like, okay, maybe you can see signs of growth, but if they get to right outside the red zone and then have 2 penalties that take them outside and they have to settle for a field goal, I'm sorry, but I can't look at that I can't look at that with good faith and be like, oh, like they're figuring it out, because they're clearly not. Because they're shooting themselves in the foot again. And that, like, that's why I say, like, one drive a game where you're like, oh, okay, this is like the offense. Like, this is what they can do. But then they just do some stupid shit. And it's just like, why can you not be consistent throughout the game? And just like, I mean, let's talk about the beginning of the games for a second, right?
I have the stat right here. This is from Shane Half. On opening drives this season, the Eagles have run 16 plays for a grand total of, wait for it, 12 yards. Jalen Hurts is 4 of 9 passing with 28 yards and 1 interception. His average depth of target on opening drive passes is 14.4 yards. For reference, the highest average depth of target from any quarterback with 100 plus passes this season is 10.2 yards.
Yeah,
and like we talked about in the chat today, I get Nick is the CEO coach. He's not the one calling the plays majority of the time, but according to him, if you let him tell it, he does dip his hand in the candy jar. But that's besides the point. As a CEO head coach, your forte and his forte is on the offense. He's in the offensive meetings. He's the head coach of the football team. You would expect that his offenses would be better prepared to start games. Like, the opening scripts of these games are bad. Like, Jalen started 0 for 5 yesterday.
Eagles
not good.
Have had historically good opening scripts too. The good teams we've
had.
That's why it worked.
That's why it worked in 2022. The offense started fast.
And look, Kellen has said that the first drive they use it a lot for trying to figure out what the defense is throwing at them. But frankly, I think
you can do that.
You can do that and try to score.
Still score. Yeah.
Like I mean, it's just like it's a microcosm for what the offense looks like the entire game, where it's just inconsistent like thought process on how they want to move the ball down the field, and then you're in 3rd down and you're like, shot play, baby, 2nd down, shot play, let's just try it. And they get too cute with it. And we saw this in 2021 when the Eagles first got here with Nick, because Nick's a receiver. He wants to keep doing these explosives and things like that. But it's like, hey,
That's what's so.
sorry, one more thing. But explosive plays can come without just throwing a goal ball. Devontae's mesh that he took for a touchdown was an explosive. There's different ways to get explosive plays. It's not just 50-50 deep balls to your two receivers because, yeah, they're damn good at catching them. They're number 1 and number 2 in sub 25 completion percentage, whatever we figured out the name, probability. Fine, they're number 1 and number 2 in that, but that's no way to just run your entire offense. That should be a bailout button, right? That should be like, oh shit, we need to.
You can't live in the world of, well, our offense is just going to be 50-50 balls. That's not sustainable.
And you're wasting your talent. You're not maximizing your talent.
But I will say, have you guys thought about the, I guess, kind of contrast between how it seems hell-bent Nick is on the explosives on offense and then preventing them on defense? Because every defensive coordinator that we've had since Nick has got here has been in that same Vic Fangio.
That's organizational.
Bend, don't break. Yeah,
that's organizational too, right? Like that's what they want with Lurie and Howie and them. But I don't know. I'm sick of this offense where it's just like, oh yeah, let's just try to get a goal ball to AJ Brown over and over again. It's just it's not maximizing their talents because, like we talked about, people are expecting it, and at one point you need to buck the norm, do something different, and throw in some changeups. If a pitcher just throws fastballs over and over again, you're gonna know the fastball's coming. I don't know. It's
like, for me, I've thought about it. I don't know if this is true or not, but like, is it a case of there being too many cooks in the kitchen? Like, you got Nick wanting to have his hand in the jar, supposed to be Kellen's offense. Yeah, Kevin Patullo, who's in
not last year.
2019 with Rich Gangarello and Doug and all of those. What's the dude? Marty.
That's what I was about to say. Yeah,
but yeah, like
honest NFL, you mean?
But yeah, you got Kevin Patullo, Doug Nussmeier, Stoutland has his hand in the run game, so Jalen, he's checking the things. So is it kind of a thing where there's too many people trying to be involved, or
whatever?
We're not going to have the answers, but
I think it's not necessarily too many people trying to be involved. I just don't think everybody shares. It's kind of the same problem that I keep harping on with Jalen and Nick. They don't share the same
school of thought,
ideology. Mm-hmm. And when you want to do one thing, it's when you're trying to do one thing and the people that's also and messing with the food trying to do another, it's hard to appease everybody. Like, I believe it was one of you guys that sent it, where it's basically like, I mean, Vic Fangio is trying to run his Fangio system, and the belief that you guys were just talking about with, I mean, hey, we don't want to give up the explosive plays, which, okay, Vic has made some bread and butter with not giving up explosive plays, but what's the fine line between not giving up explosive plays and having the freedom to do what you want to do defensively, which may be susceptible to an explosive play or two, where we don't know what he can or can't call. The same we could say offensively, where it's like, I mean, yeah, we say this is not Kellen Moore's offense. How much of that is on Nick? How much of that is Jalen? How much of that is we've seen? Well, not we. They've seen Jalen Hurts under center throughout the entire summer, throughout all of camp and all of that, and they just weren't satisfied with what they seen. I mean, we don't know. Anything could happen for us to be in a position where we're like, well, how come this looks the same? There's no under center. There's no. My biggest thing is I think the Eagles didn't run. They ran minimal, the least amount of play action plays they ran all season. This game, which is
2 play action plays. 2 for a team that is really good at running the ball. 2 play action plays. Because why would you want to make life easier on yourself?
Like you said, I don't know, and I mean I think it's bigger than just Jalen and Nick. I'm not quite sure what's the issue. It could even be possible because I mean I always think about this press conference that Kellen had where when they asked him about the offense and he basically said I'm not going to forget about all the good things that Nick does offensively already. We're going to try to find a way to intertwine them. They have those things because they work, and we're going to keep those as a part of the offense.
The only
And
good things were the 50-50 balls.
that's not true.
Tush push.
I mean, yeah, tush push. Some of the RPO game, Kellen Moore does not do RPO.
The RPO game has not been working, brother.
They
the
haven't
RPO
been
game
running it. They
been,
just stopped. They just chalked it for some reason.
Because we spammed it last year and it just did not work. We would have illegal linemen. It would be some kind of
Jalen though. The RPO, RPO game
it's
is
bigger than Jalen.
But it's not working.
You knew the RPO was going to be a work in progress, even with Cam, because while Cam has played some live snaps, Cam in live center snaps, which he hasn't done. Last time he was a center, he was able to take 3 steps down the field. Now he's stuck with his 1 snap. And you can't. I mean, it's a learning process for everybody. Let's not act like the RPOs didn't work this year. I mean, they may not.
It was last year too, though. Quell. Last year, we were all begging for them to stop the RPO and just run the ball for real. I clearly remember that, where it was just RPO, and they wouldn't just run the damn ball.
Right, but now they're just not running them.
You can have them in there, but if it's not working, it's not
middle
working,
ground.
Right? I think it's also just because the league is also caught up a little bit with RPOs, whether it's players or even refs. There was a tweet.
I don't remember if I sent it to the chat or if I sent it to you, Quell, where it's like the numbers against RPOs are all down. But yeah, the numbers for defenses or for offenses against defenses when they run RPOs are down. So like you said, Parth, there could be a thing where defenses have just caught up.
And refs. I mean, they call it every single time you do an RPO, they're calling something.
Yeah, because you can't go 3 yards down the field like you can.
No, but Quell, hold up. It's not just that, but it's also that in RPO, it's not just like the 3 yards, but if you're just even moving, refs have been calling it. It's just like you don't even have to be 3 yards. No, I know, but they've been way more sensitive about it. I forget what game I was watching, but they called like 2 or 3 RPOs and they got penalized every single time. It wasn't even like linemen were crazy far downfield, but they've been way stricter about calling.
It don't matter if you're crazy far or not. They give you 1 yard to work with. If you're beyond that yard, you're gonna get called for it.
So then maybe
it's been like that for years. They just kind of like cracking down on it now.
Well, that's my point. That's what I'm saying is they're cracking down on it way more because in the past, if you got the playoff quick enough, they weren't really looking for it. But now they're specifically looking for it, and so guys are getting called for it more.
I don't know. I mean, that's a different conversation for a different time. I think the pre-snap motion and all that kind of stuff plays a factor in why RPOs are down. But I just feel like there's a lot of factors to the offense that they just aren't tapping into. I feel like that they're trying to do such a good job of intertwining it for everybody, but nobody's putting in together what makes their offense successful. Like, when was the last time you seen them run that fake screen, a wheel route down the sideline? Week 1.
That's the only time. That's like the last time Saquon caught the ball, bro. Besides this week,
The offense is legitimately just 4 verts, inside zone runs, mesh.
But I just don't think I don't think that's true. And I mean, it kind of goes back to like I feel like we've been very reactionary right now because we've seen one game with AJ Brown.
But it's not just that. Even
when we had the other guys,
if you look at the route maps, it's what it looked like.
And against Green Bay, Devonta Smith's route tree did not look like that against Green Bay.
He had a ton of crossers against Green Bay and some underneaths. That's what he had last week. What are you talking about? He had if you look at Devontae's,
he was used much more underneath this week than he was in Green Bay. He was in Green Bay,
but he was still. It was all crossers. It's different levels, but it's all. But it's still crossers. That's what they were just using Devontae.
I mean, in this week.
That's how he scored his touchdown.
And then also,
it was a regular shallow cross, drag route where he scored his touchdown. Yeah. Mesh. That wasn't no deep cross like how they were utilizing. They didn't throw it to him, but they had in the middle of the field in week 1.
I think also this week it might have been matchup dependent. Like we talked about, the Browns like to run a lot of man coverage, and their secondary was dealing with a lot of injuries, so it might have been matchup dependent also. But at the same time, like you don't want to see them continuously banging their head against the wall when something isn't working.
And it's
I
not
mean,
like
but
they
it's
were
not like it
scheming
wasn't
guys
working.
open. But it's not like they were scheming guys open in the weeks that Devontae and AJ weren't there either. So it's just like,
Yeah.
Okay, they were.
what is
What do you think Dallas Goedert was doing? How do you think he got all them damn yards? He wasn't getting open.
Not against Tampa Bay, they didn't. They didn't do a good job
I
of it
mean,
against Tampa Bay.
they stopped it against Tampa, but what do you think happened against New Orleans? What do you think they was doing with Devontae against New Orleans? Damn sure scheming them open. That was the best Kellen Moore game yet.
for Dallas, I saw a lot of contested catches, and with Devontae, I mean,
There was this whole big thing about a Dallas Goedert route tree that week. That's a Kellen Moore offense.
it's 1 week, Quell. I don't know what like
But
the
your
hill
whole
you're
point
on
was
is.
they wasn't scheming open for him when we didn't have
Fine, they
Devontae
schemed.
and AJ.
Fine, here, you know what? You get a trophy for scheming your guys open for 1 week.
Yeah.
I mean, what are we doing here? Like for 1 week, we're gonna be like, oh well, they got the offense. No, it was 1 week. They got lucky, just the same way they got lucky that the Saints ran 12 personnel over and over again, and they were able to stop the run because they could put
Big G.
five-man fronts out there. Like
Okay.
there's
I mean,
situation to it as well.
that's the hill we want to die on. They got lucky. Okay.
I mean,
In the
everything else
NFL?
we've seen, if with everything else you've seen, if you really think that they've gone out there and grinded out like big W's that they fully earned, I don't know what to say.
That's not
The Saints one was so lucky. Dallas Goedert went down. They called mesh, and there was nobody on that side of the field. That game is completely
schemed
different.
the guy open the same
He
way they
changed-
did yesterday with
Jalen changed the
Devonta
play.
Smith.
Jalen changed the play at the line to mesh. Are we giving them credit for calling mesh the most basic play? We were making fun of the NFL for talking about. Hold up. We were talking.
We giving them credit for scheming a guy open like you just asked him to do.
Jalen adjusted to mesh.
Because he seen
the play
a
call.
specific
That
defense.
wasn't the play call. He
But
called
that's
mesh,
not
a
the same
basic
thing as
concept.
scheming them open.
If you see
That's
a
a check.
specific
It's
defense,
mesh. It's a
and you
check.
change to
It's
a
a check to a
specific
big
play,
Well, that's not. It's
you
not
are
scheming them
attacking
open
where
by
the play
using.
is wet. Is
That's
weak at,
Jalen.
right?
That's not Kellen Moore. That's not Nick Sirianni. That's Jalen checking at the line to a check. It's mesh, the most basic. It's not like they're using anything new. Like we're talking
I
about the
just
most
don't agree
basic
how you say that's
concept.
not Kellen Moore, but this is stuff where Jalen wasn't doing last year. Like
Mesh. We talked about Jalen
checking
throwing
at the
mesh
line
last
of
year.
scrimmage.
Fine, fine. He checked at the line of scrimmage that's scheming them open. No, that's giving him more freedom, and that's also because Jason Kelsey's not here. That he's taken on more responsibility at the line.
I mean, I don't know what you. Yeah, it's damn scheming them open. I don't understand what we not understanding.
I'm
If
not-
you use a specific play call against a specific defense
Did
that
the
you know
play
is going to
caller
beat
put
them
that
there,
in? Did the play caller call it
if
in?
you alter
Did the play caller call
to
it
a
in?
play,
Answer the question. Did the
it
play caller call that in?
To it.
Did the player change at the line, or
We
did he
don't
follow
know.
the coach's play?
we have
we
no
do.
idea.
We do
Just
because
you
we have
got
the
a
video.
kill, that don't mean you weren't given two different plays.
We have
at
the
line of
video
scrimmage
and
in the
Jalen
jump
saying
part.
after that they checked to mesh, big guy. It's there. There's
Just
evidence.
because you check to a play or you kill a play doesn't mean you weren't given multiple choices in the huddle, Park, right or wrong. You played football.
Agreed. But
so that means that he didn't, that we don't
actually,
know.
and timeout. There's usually just a couple audibles that you can go to. It's not like with every play there's different audibles. There's usually a couple audibles depending on what you see out there.
Decided to begin
mesh
the game. Ain't one of
if
them
we're
audibles,
gonna
a simple man coverage beater.
That was not Kellen Moore scheming them open. I don't know how many times I can explain this. If the quarterback checks at the line, it's not the offensive play caller's play call. What he put in the headset to Jalen. Jalen changed at the line himself. The mic turns off at that point. It couldn't be like Kellen, hey Jalen, change it to mesh, buddy. I see it open. Jalen saw it. They got him open. There was nobody on that side of the field. They had three guys run into each other. And he did it. Okay, do we need to pull up the video? I mean, dude, the NFL, brother, the NFL made this like the biggest story of the week. The NFL made this a story.
What play or what happened?
Said that they checked it to it at the line. I don't know why you're like, oh no, well they didn't actually check it. Jalen said he checked it at the line. The video of it says that Jalen checked it at the line, but now you're like, no, but they didn't check it at the line. That doesn't make sense.
Saying that they didn't check it at the line. All I'm saying is just because you checked the at the line,
you said
just
because he said kill doesn't mean he didn't check it. You said 5 minutes ago, you said just because he said kill doesn't mean he checked it.
No, I said they give you multiple plays when you check and when you kill. You played
after.
Football, right?
Said it after. Yes, but at the line, you said, oh, well, if he says kill, it doesn't mean he's changing it. Dude, he said
no,
kill.
I didn't. When the hell did I say that? Let's rewind the podcast.
I don't have those capabilities.
You were listening.
Everybody knows what the hell kill means. If you say kill, you changing the play.
I can't even say anything. You just said the opposite, bro.
Ain't no way. That's why I'm telling you to rewind it.
I'm listening as soon as this is posted.
I will too.
I'm telling you, at the end of the day, I'm not giving Kellen Moore credit for Jalen Hurts switching to mesh, not some new concept, literally one of the oldest concepts of football. We were laughing about.
I think the difference
is them implementing stuff that he didn't have last year to change the
play. They had mesh in the playbook last year.
So why didn't they run it against man coverage every single time Jalen Hurts got blitzed instead of just getting sacked, Parth? If it was in the playbook last year and he had the checks and he could kill it
fast enough last year too. It's not like Jalen was just perfect last year. He also panicked under the blitz. What are we talking about here? He also didn't look great again. They didn't have a ton of answers, but even then,
he didn't have an answer to the blitz. Not a ton. There was not one.
Even on plays where there was mesh and blitzes, he didn't get the ball. There were issues with Jalen last year. We're not going to act like Jalen was just like fully without blame last year for the issues against the blitz. There's also issues with Jalen.
You keep implementing these words. Who said any of that? You keep adding your own words into what I'm saying. Nobody's saying that Jalen Hurts is without blame. All I said is Jalen Hurts didn't have this capability last season. Is that right or wrong? No, but that's not saying that he was. That's not saying that he wasn't
because
good.
Jason Kelce was helping make calls at the line.
That don't
he got
mean
more
nothing.
Responsibility this year. It's not just because of Kellen Moore's offense that they were like, "Oh, Jalen, you get the check now." No, he's an older quarterback. He has more responsibility. That's what they talked about. It wasn't just because Kellen came here. They gave Jalen more responsibility. That was a talking point throughout the offseason that Jalen is going to be making more checks at the line now that Jason's gone. Jalen is going to take charge of the offense.
And we can leave it here at that. But my whole thing is there was literally just a video that came out of quarterbacks of Caleb Williams having a check at the line, even though his offensive line makes the calls. You can have checks and your offensive line make the calls. Jalen didn't have it. Is my whole point. Now he does, which is whose fault? Damn sure that's Nick Sirianni's, right?
What do you mean? Whose fault is it? They gave him more responsibility as he got older as a quarterback. I don't know what your point here is.
That got to do with what
That's not just Kellen Moore coming in. Hey, we're gonna just let him check at the offense. It's a progression as a quarterback.
What I just said. A young rookie quarterback are we gonna act like advanced as Jalen was at that point in time has the ability to check plays at the line of scrimmage, even though his offensive line is calling the checks. I mean, not
talking about a quarterback who was talked about as a generational prospect.
Generational. He just can run around. Oh my gosh.
Fine, you might not think that, but the overall consensus about Caleb Williams is that he was a generational type quarterback. Don't try to put revisionist history in here.
Nobody put him in the same breath as Andrew Luck and John Elway. Those are the only two generational quarterbacks.
People will call him generational.
Are you on crack?
Who compared him to John Elway or Andrew Luck?
I mean,
tons of people compared him to Andrew Luck. And to like Trevor Lawrence, who were both looked at as generational quarterbacks coming out of college. Now, how they turned out to be might be different, but that's how they were talked about.
I don't understand how we can quote unquote call Trevor Lawrence, and I never understood it if he never got better from his freshman year. But that's a different conversation.
They talked about
the term generational is being thrown around loosely.
Maybe
apparently
the media was ready to give him
the only two generational quarterbacks that we've had in this decade, in our time of life, are John Elway and Andrew Luck. That's it. That's all. I mean, maybe Lamar Jackson.
That's to you.
Maybe Lamar Jackson. Maybe Lamar, because you don't get Lamars every day. Other than that,
Patrick Mahomes.
Mahomes ain't generational. I don't think he's that good in anywhere outside of Kansas City. But that's also a different conversation.
That's crazy, Quell.
I do think Andy Reid plays a magnificent part of how good he is. I do think him now, like you probably can drop him on a different team now today. He's still the best quarterback in football. I don't think it was like that when he first got here. He wasn't generationally good.
As a prospect. But if you might not feel that way, but it's disingenuous to say that people were not saying that he was a generational prospect. You might think that they throw around the term a lot, but people looked at Caleb Williams as a generational type prospect. People were talking about, and he looks like, the Bears have scored 35 points for the first time since 2018 in 2 weeks in a row. Like he looks like the part, and he had a lot of experience. He made checks in college. They let him. The Eagles didn't trust Jalen Hurts enough to make checks at the line. That's something else. Shane Steichen didn't let him make checks at the line. Fine. Like you would think that as time goes on, they would allow a quarterback to take on more responsibility in the offense. I don't think this is just a Kellen Moore thing and it's him scheming him open. And first off, giving a quarterback checks at the line is not scheming someone open. It's just giving them more freedom.
Giving him the answers to the test. If you see something.
He still has to select the right one. That's the damn point.
But it's the difference.
You can't just give him five plays and be like, well, figure it out. He chose the right one. That's why he gets the credit.
I mean, you don't think they sit there and say, Jalen, if you see man-to-man, which play are you going to pick? Mesh, right?
Yeah,
Good
but
job,
that's
Jalen.
not, that's not the same as scheming a guy open.
I'm not saying him switching to the play. The play call, it's play call on play call is with scheming a guy open. Mesh against man coverage will always scheme a guy open because they're going to run into each other, which is the scheming the guy open. It ain't just like he said, hey, I'm going to call mesh and that guy's going to be open. He helped Jalen Hurts understand when you see this, this is what you call, credit should go to Kellen Moore for helping his quarterback understand what to do when you in this position, right?
So Jalen Hurts has never ever thrown a ball in mesh before. Like that's what you're saying. He needed Kellen Moore. You just said Kellen Moore told him, you need to use mesh to break man. You don't think he this? Like we said, mesh is one of the oldest concepts, most used concepts in football. But we're gonna be like, oh, like Kellen explained it to him. Come on,
ain't nobody say Kellen explained it to him.
You just said that.
Kellen explained to him, hey, when in this system, when teams run this is what our call is going to be. Is that
mesh is a man beater regardless of the system. I don't see how this is system specific. That's my damn point. It's not scheming him open by just like, oh yeah, we're gonna use mesh to break man. Every team uses mesh to break man. That's not like some big moment or something. And again, like you said, if you have 3 checks at the line, you still have to choose the right one. You still have to recognize everything out there, and you're the one who makes the check. So I'm not giving Kellen Moore credit for that, for putting 4 plays out there and getting lucky on one of them. At one point, you have to give credit to the quarterback too.
I did for checking to the correct play, and I gave credit for the offensive coordinator for help putting him in a position that he wasn't in last year. I don't understand what's so hard about the circumstance. It is what it is.
I don't know why you're just like giving out participation.
I mean, it's bigger than participation trophy.
It is participation trophy.
Literally shit he didn't have last year, Parth. I mean, we sat here and watched him get blitzed. Did we watch the Giants and the Bucks and every other team blitz him to death and him have no answers? Yes, you don't think mesh wasn't in the playbook? Nick Sirianni said the other day they've been running mesh since Indianapolis. So what's the difference between then and now?
What do you mean?
Crickets.
What do you mean? That's a bad question. That's why it's crickets.
What do you mean it's a bad question? That's why it's crickets.
What's the difference?
He didn't have the opportunity to change at the line of scrimmage. It's the difference.
Again, I don't think that's just Kellen Moore. That's growth of a quarterback. He's in his 5th year. He's making how much money is he making? It's different now. He's supposed to be in charge of the team. That was the entire thing. The entire offseason.
This year, last year, or any year, they would have put this in his plethora because what more do you want? I mean, like you say, it's the growth of a quarterback. You should have this, but they didn't give it to him when you had other people that was here to do it. I just sat here and laid out another quarterback who had other people here to do it and still allowed to basically check at the line of scrimmage, has the freedom to do all this stuff.
Who's a better processor? Who's a better processor of route concepts?
I don't know.
Jalen Hurts or Caleb Williams?
What do you mean when you say better processor or route concepts? I mean,
I don't think the coach
of the son. I don't think the son of a coach is a bad processor.
What was on his scouting report is that he's a slower processor. And it's what we've seen. We just talked about it earlier on the show. So the question is, if he's not that type of quarterback who's going to be making checks, going to be processing super quickly, of course they're not going to give it to him right off the bat. He's obviously trying to change the type of quarterback.
I wouldn't say he's a bad processor.
Well, I mean there's a reason he dropped.
I think, damn, can I?
A lot of that was his processing.
Can I say in a sentence in? Yeah, it's easy to say quote unquote bad processing when you played in a different offense every single year of your damn career, Parth. How you learn how to process and you ain't getting no consistency? Would you say Jalen Hurts was a bad processor from 2021 to 2022? Oh yeah, 2021 to 2022.
They gave him easy answers. 2 things can be true. It can't just be like it's not just like, oh well, Jalen is like the greatest processor if you give him 2 years, but it can also be, hey, with some consistency and you give him easy answers, he can process. He got easy answers in 2022. He's not getting easy answers this year every play. I don't understand what we're not seeing here. Like, we just talked about it. We just agreed on it, that he's having some trouble with processing the field right now. You can call a spade a spade. Maybe it doesn't mean he's a fine. You don't have to say he's a bad processor.
Where do we agree on this at? When did we even say
Pierre,
this?
I know you remember us talking about this. It was 45 minutes ago now, but I know you remember talking about this.
We did talk about Jalen.
When did we say Jalen being a bad? Well, where did I say Jalen being a bad processor? At least that's what I'm.
I don't necessarily think Jalen's a bad processor. He's a slow processor.
That's what I said.
That doesn't necessarily mean he's bad at it.
But he's slow, and they're not giving him good answers. That's my point. I think Caleb Williams might be a faster processor. They might give him more responsibility at the quarterback position. Jalen has different superpowers. Every quarterback has different superpowers. Jalen is coming into his what?
Go ahead.
Jalen is coming into his own, and he's trying to be a different type of quarterback. That's why he's been trying to pass all offseason. We talked about how he's not trying to run out. He's not running as much. Ball doesn't touch the ground. He looks good in the pocket. He's been trying to stay in the pocket more. He's not as willing to run the ball. He's trying to change who he is as a quarterback. With that comes checking at the line, doing different types of things, having different responsibilities.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't Jalen Hurts' whole superpower when he was coming out the mental aspect of his game?
That and mobility.
It's his understanding of the game, but the understanding of the game does not correlate to processing. Quell, we can look at his. What do you mean? What do you mean? Like, you think everybody who understands the game is going to process the game quickly? Like, be realistic here.
I'm not saying everybody that understands the game that isn't going to process the game quickly. I also think that we're talking about a quarterback who was operating from different scheme to different scheme. He also showed us when he had a general sense of consistency, he can process shit from 1 to 2 to 3. It's not like he was just throwing his first read on every single target.
He wasn't, but not every quarterback needs 2 years in the system to figure out how to process quickly. That's the damn point. There's quarterbacks who figure out in their first year. They don't need 2 years in the system. Jalen might be at a disadvantage. I'm not going to take away from that. I don't hate Jalen. I think Jalen's a damn good quarterback, but we can agree that he has strengths and weaknesses. I don't know why that's like so crazy to say. Jalen is like, why are we acting
strengths and weaknesses? I just don't.
Every time, Quell, I brought up a well-known weakness about him. You're like, well, no, he's not a slow processor. He is a slow processor. That doesn't mean he can't process, but he can be a little bit slower. So you need to help him with the answers. A good quarterback and OC pairing meets in the middle. You maximize your strengths, and that's not what we're seeing. That's not what we've seen for 2 years. So you can blame it on changing OCs and different types of things, yeah. But the fact of the matter is, he's also not processing fast enough on the field. That's why he dropped to the second round. That was part of the reason. It was arm strength and his slower processing. He has bucked a lot of that, but he can still be there. Like we talked about earlier. Like, why are we seeing the same things show up multiple seasons in a row? There's two common denominators here: Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts. I mean, it raises questions.
So that means because they're questions, they're automatically confirmed. It's my whole.
They're not confirmed, but they're not confirmed, but you can at least acknowledge them and not just be like, oh, well, that's so far off.
I mean, ain't nobody saying that's so far off and crazy. I just disagree. I can disagree, right? Or do we have to be on the same page for everything?
No, you can disagree, but to make it seem like it's a snide is crazy because I don't think it is. I think it's a completely valid thing to bring up.
Right, but that's the whole thing.
That's where I have issues because you made it seem like it's insane. It's not insane. It's not insane to think of because a lot of people do.
All right, we're almost at an hour and 30 minutes.
As usual.
That clears the Parth and Quell argument section of the pod /stream. I think this is a good spot to end it. I like seeing you guys go at it. Pause. That's crazy. I like seeing you guys.
That was wild. That was insane.
That was worse than the OJ sentence.
I might have to leave, bro. That made me uncomfortable, dog.
He gotta apologize. You know he got.
I'm not. I can't even text Quell anymore. Now I'm gonna feel weird, bro. Like, I'm leaving the group chat, dog.
That was crazy. That was crazy. I like seeing y'all debate. I'll say that. It's good. It's good for content and TV.
We're great masturbators.
Yeah. But as always, thank you to all 36 of you who joined the stream. We're gonna release this as a pod tomorrow on Tuesday. We're gonna be back on Thursday for the Giants preview. Quickly, how are we feeling about that?
Oh yeah, let me give my thoughts. I'm getting my wisdom teeth out finally.
Oh yeah, you're
I
not gonna be.
I know y'all depend on me for my wisdom because of my teeth, but they will be gone, so nothing I can do about that. But I think they should win because the Giants are not good, but the Giants have also looked better than I thought they would. Um, I don't know.
It's the NFL. Anybody can beat anybody.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is I just sat here a week ago and told y'all the damn Bengals defense sucked. And the Giants couldn't move the ball on that defense.
They didn't have Malik Neighbors. I feel like Neighbors is going to be back.
They give me another guy double team.
He's leading the league in receptions with double
when
teams.
You get fucking 800 targets, I would too. This is the equivalent of Sam Howell leading the league in passing yards last.
Are they not going to? Are they not going to?
The ball 800 times.
Are they not going to throw him the ball? I mean, the numbers are still the numbers. Fine.
Let's not act like
Sam Howell beat us last year.
Did he?
Yes.
Yeah.
When? Did he?
During the season, yes.
When?
Did they?
No.
I remember they went to. Did they go to overtime?
We swept the Commanders.
We went to overtime, and then
I know we lost a lot of games, but let's not do
fine,
that.
Fine, it was. Well, if I was the overtime game, it was the win where Sam Howell took us to overtime. Is that what the home game with Sam Howell?
I'm sorry, but does loss not mean loss?
I'm sorry, but does that not mean that Sam Howell was producing on the field?
You said even if it was just empty, beat us.
If it was empty stats, fine. He didn't beat us, but he put up like 500 yards on us. That's what it was.
You can't spell Howell without 2 L's, motherfucker.
Hold up.
Fuck is wrong with you? I don't give a damn about his stats.
We are on live, please.
Like, man, relax. Bro, you just did all that cussing at me like 40 minutes ago.
I said shit. You said if you can't see the difference, there is a difference. There is a difference in between S and F.
So many other stuff.
Oh my God.
I saved my cursing to the end of the pod.
Stop it. Stop it.
I saved my curse to the end of the pod.
Do you know about how they rate movies? The different types of words you're allowed to say? Man, there's different words you can say in PG-13 versus R. There's R words and there's PG-13 words.
I done spent 20 minutes. I got a 20-minute rant getting cussed at with different words.
And you didn't rant back at me?
No, I tried so hard until this point before I said my F word. But that last sentence was the way I drew the line. F is the direction you can F.
That's fine. You can say that. You have no problem with that.
The hell
just
out of
stop
here.
Cursing like that, bro. You're gonna get us deleted off the internet. I'm trying to find the stats.
I got cussed at. That's nasty work.
What did I cuss at you? I just said this bullshit.
I just sat here and said you cussed at me for 40 minutes.
When did I cuss at you?
You done said F. You done said S. You done said so many.
When I say F.
You want to play back the stream? I got an hour.
I do. When I say
I'm pretty sure. All I got to do is go pick a little home.
All I heard is pretty sure. That's not confirmation. I'm
100% sure. I will bet my bottom dollar.
I didn't say
that's what you want to hear.
Bottom dollar.
All right.
Lose your bottom dollar.
How are you feeling about the Giants game?
396 yards. That's what he threw for on the Eagles.
Jesus.
Empty yards. 396.
How many times did he throw the ball, Parth? He led the league in attempts, bro.
Was it 52?
They threw it 52 times, 39 to 52.
I hope he threw the ball for 300 yards for 52 times,
If they throw the ball to Malik Neighbors 20 times and he has 15 receptions, it can still make a damn difference. I don't know why you're acting like that's not a thing.
If they throw the ball to Malik Neighbors 20 times and he has 15 receptions, I'll live with that because that means the rest of the team ain't doing nothing and they ain't winning.
I'm just saying, the way this team has played, I don't think it's crazy to have some healthy skepticism. But
you said that last week. We got one check. What we say last week, Pierre? Or what did I say? I think I said 4-0. That's one down. Check.
Fine. I mean, you can take your victory lap on these. Take your victory lap on these.
I am, because this will probably be the greatest victory lap I have of the season. But you talked about it like it was
exactly.
losable.
Oh, exactly.
It was.
Enjoy your victory lap in week 5 through 9, and then when the playoffs come, we'll see who was actually right.
What do you mean, see who was actually right? Just because they lose a playoff game, that don't mean that somebody was actually right. You know, only one team wins the Super Bowl, right?
We talked about this at the beginning of the season. We talked about this at the beginning of the season and in the offseason, that if this team goes and loses a playoff game immediately, it's a wash of a season.
I think
they have too much invested.
I say that. I think they can get around too.
So we'll see.
All right. As always, whichever podcast streaming platform you're listening on, I'm sure to leave us a like and review. Thank you to all who joined the stream. That's going to do it for this episode.
Three of our brothers in these comments. That's what every one of these comments is. And Devin, Rams are not better, brother. Come on, man.
Did they win this week? They was on about week. They had a bye week.
Yeah, I didn't
They
see
lost.
the Rams out there.
They lost last week though, so yeah, Rams are not better. Anyway, go Birds.
Go Birds.
Go Birds. I hate, man.